Most of what saves a house in a bad week costs under $20, and it's sitting on a shelf at Tractor Supply that 90% of folks walk right past. When the power dropped in Texas in February of 2021, the folks who came through it warm weren't the ones with the $4,000 generator that ran dry in a day and a half. They were the folks with a $20 propane heater and 2 spare tanks in the garage. You already drive past the store. You already stop for dog food and fence staples. And every trip, you walk past the 10 cheapest items in that building, the ones a certain kind of customer buys quietly, in 2s and 3s, and never talks about at the register. Because here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The shelves that keep your house standing in a hard week don't get restocked in a hard week. The generators go first, then the propane, then the water jugs, then the feed. By the time the news is telling you to prepare, the aisles are empty and the guy in front of you at checkout is buying the last 2 of everything you needed. No warning, no second run to the store, just what's already in your garage. So here are 10 cheap items at Tractor Supply, every one under $30 and most under $15, that the quiet customers stockpile before anyone else. Number 10 is a $4 move most folks would swear couldn't matter, and it does more than the other 9 combined. Let me say one thing, then I'll leave it be. Everything I've picked up behind that counter, how to buy right the first time, what's worth your money and what ain't, I put it all in one book over at readiness.com. If you want it, it's there. That's all. Now, let's get back to it. Here's what the prepper channels selling you the $4,000 bunker kit won't tell you. Of the 10 items on this list, 1 costs under $5. It's a combo, 2 boring pieces of metal and plastic sitting 3 aisles apart in the same store. Together, they're the single reason a Stockpile survives 12 months in a damp garage instead of turning into a mouse hotel by spring. I'm holding it for the end on purpose because every other item on this list is worth a lot less if you skip that one. The reason you've never heard about it is it doesn't film well. A $5 bucket doesn't run pre-roll ads. Half the guys selling you the Tacticool ration kit at 10 times the price never once had to feed a family through a rough week. They're selling cool because cool gets the click. I'm Rhett Callahan. I run projects at a custom rifle shop outside Knoxville, so folks bring me their household plans along with their rifles. I read the after-action write-ups so you don't have to. I'm here to make you ready, not scared. So here's where we're going. 10 items at Tractor Supply in the order a bad week actually hits your house. Heat, water, food that doesn't spoil, then the stuff that keeps a stranger from deciding your place is the easy one on the road. Deter, detect, delay, defend. For each one, I'm telling you exactly what's at stake without it, exactly what it costs today, and where in the store it lives. Some you've walked past 100 times, a couple you haven't. And number 10 is the $4 combo I just mentioned. The question isn't, do I have supplies? It's when the tap runs brown at 4 a.m. with 2 kids in the house, can I put my hand on the fix in the dark? Once you see it that way, you can't unsee it. Number 10 on the list is a 20-pound propane tank paired with a buddy-style radiant heater. The furnace kicks off at 2 a.m. because the grid went with it, and by breakfast, the house is in the 50s. By dinner, it's in the 40s. By the second night, the pipes are ticking behind the drywall, that little clock that means water is turning to ice inside copper. And when it thaws, it's not going to be your problem, it's going to be your ceiling. And you're sitting on the couch under every blanket you own, watching your breath, because your whole heat plan ran through one wire on one pole a half-mile away. Texas, February 2021, Winter Storm Uri. The grid held for about as long as a paper plate in a rainstorm, and the after-action reports were consistent. The households that stayed above 50 degrees indoors weren't the ones with a whole house generator. They were the ones with a small propane radiant heater and 2 full tanks in the garage. Doctrine here is simple. Cold is the first thing that kills a house in an outage, before food, before water, before anything else. Keep one room at 50 and you can ride out most of a week without a hospital trip. Tractor Supply, front of the store. A Mr. Buddy style indoor rated propane heater runs about $89 on sale, and a 20-pound refill tank runs $55 filled, $30 for the empty. Buy the heater and 2 tanks. One tank runs a small heater on low for roughly 3 days in one closed off room. Total spend under $200 for a week of the house doesn't freeze. Store the tanks outside or in the shed, never in the bedroom. $200 and the pipes hold. Name the whole house generator that costs that. But warm doesn't help if what's coming out of the tap is the color of iced tea and smells like the creek. And that's number 2. The aisle most folks walk right past on the way to the dog food. Number 9 is 6-gallon stackable water jugs. Storm rolls through, treatment plant loses power for 6 hours, and by breakfast the boil water advisory is on every phone in the county. You go to the tap and it runs. That's the mean part. It runs, but it runs brown, and there's a faint smell you don't want to name. Now your kid is asking for a glass of water and you're doing math on how long the 4 bottles under the sink last 3 people. The answer is not long. The stores are already picked over by the folks who left work early. Every major hurricane response from Katrina forward tells the same story in the CDC after action pages. The drinking water outage runs longer than the power outage, and it's the second wave of illness that fills the clinics. Gut bugs from folks drinking questionable tap because they ran dry on stored water by day 2. Rule of thumb the emergency folks use is 1 gallon per person per day minimum, and that's stingy. A family of 4 for a week is 28 gallons. Most households I've asked have 4 store-bought bottles and a Brita. That is not a plan. Tractor Supply carries the Reliant 6-gallon stackable jug for about $22 a piece. Buy 5. 30 gallons, stacks in a corner of the garage, footprint the size of a small dog crate. Fill them from the tap, add 2 drops of unscented household bleach per gallon, tighten the cap, done. Rotate once a year. Total is $110 for a week of drinking water for a family of 4. $110 and the tap outage stops being an emergency. It's an inconvenience. But water and heat don't matter if what's in the pantry got into by mice while you slept, and the next one is the cheap container that decides whether your food stores make it to spring. Number 8 is a 30-gallon galvanized metal trash can with a lid. You open the shed in March and the bag of rice you bought in October has a hole in the corner the size of a nickel. There's a trail of grain across the floor and a smell you know before you place it. Everything in that shed, the flour, the oats, the pet food, the seed, is either eaten, urinated on, or contaminated. $400 in staples, gone. Because a mouse can chew through plastic in about 12 seconds and a cardboard box in about 4. USDA extension write-ups on rural food storage are blunt about it. Rodents ruin more stockpiled food in an average American outbuilding than heat, humidity, and expiration combined. A single breeding pair produces around 60 offspring in a year under decent conditions. Cardboard and thin plastic are speed bumps. The one thing they don't chew through is galvanized steel. That's not opinion, that's just metal being harder than teeth. This is your food storage layer, and it's where the macro loop combo I've been teasing lives. We'll get to the second half of it at the end. Tractor Supply's Barron's 30-gallon galvanized steel trash can runs about $45. Buy 2. Bags of rice, beans, flour, oats, dog kibble, chicken feed go straight in. A single 30-gallon can holds roughly 200 pounds of dry staples. Set the lid on tight. Weight it with a brick if raccoons are a thing where you are. $90 total for 2 cans that end the rodent problem for about a decade. $90 and the pantry stops being a buffet. But food stored right doesn't help if somebody's standing at your back gate deciding whether to come over it. And that's number 4, the $15 move that makes your place the one they skip. Number 7 is a roll of barbed wire and steel T-posts. It's dusk on a bad week. Cell service is spotty. You're inside making dinner and the dog stands up from the rug, ears forward, staring at the back window. You look out and there's a fella at your back gate, hands in his pockets, just looking. He isn't doing anything you can call the sheriff about. He's measuring your house, measuring your fence, measuring how long it takes to walk from the road to your back door. And the back gate is a piece of livestock panel held on with 2 hooks. Rural crime reports across the Southeast tell one consistent story about property crime in a hard stretch. The houses hit are the ones that look like the easy walk-up. No dog visible, no fence line, no reason to hesitate. This is the deter layer. You're not building a prison, you're making your place look like more work than the next place over. Barbed wire on a 5-foot line is not going to stop anybody determined. It doesn't have to. It has to make him look at your fence, look at the house across the road, and pick the other one. A 1,300-foot roll of red brand 4-point barbed wire runs about $110 at Tractor Supply. T-posts are around $6 each. 200 feet of fence line, T-post every 8 feet, 3 strands, call it 250 total, including a $15 pair of fencing pliers. One afternoon's work. That's the whole back property line changed from easy walk up to why bother. Cost per year of deterrents spread over a 15-year post life is $17. $250 and your back fence starts working for you. But a fence you can't see is a fence that doesn't help. And the next one is the $10 item that decides whether you find out about the intruder from your eyes or from a broken window. Number 6 is a kerosene hurricane lantern and 1 gallon of kerosene. The lights die at 9:47 p.m. and stay dead. You reach for your phone and it's at 11% because you were going to charge it before bed. The house is genuinely dark, country dark, no street light, no ambient glow. Somewhere in the kitchen, a kid is asking where you are. You know there's a flashlight in a drawer, but you can't remember which one, and now you're feeling along a countertop trying not to knock over a coffee cup while your kid's voice is climbing. The 2003 Northeast blackout ran 50 million people dark for up to 2 days. The consistent injury pattern in the ER write-ups afterward wasn't looting, it was falls, cuts, and burns from people navigating dark houses with candles. Here's the number nobody plans around. Average rural response time in an outage runs past 15 minutes for a call and a good bit longer out in the county. For the first 15 minutes minimum, you're the first responder for your kid, your spouse, whoever else is in the house. Light is the difference between managing a night and getting hurt in your own kitchen. Tractor Supply carries a classic Dietz Cold Blast Hurricane Lantern for about $30, and a gallon of K1 kerosene runs $12. A gallon burns roughly 45 hours on a medium wick. One lantern lit on the kitchen table lights a whole room warm enough to cook, read, and move around safely. Hang it from a hook, not near a curtain. Total is $42 for a light source that runs longer than any battery lantern you can buy at that price. $42 and the dark stops running the house. Still with me? Good. Most folks tuned out 3 items ago because they'd rather not think about any of this. That right there already puts you ahead of most of your street. Number 6 is the one that decides whether your truck starts when it matters most. Number 5 is a bag of rock salt or ice melt and a lithium jump pack. 12 degrees at first light. You need to get to town, pharmacy run for a family member, or the neighbor called and needs a hand. You turn the key and the truck coughs once and gives up. The battery was probably weak in November and you meant to swap it. The driveway is a sheet of black ice from the freezing rain. Even if you got the truck started, the tires wouldn't hold on the grade. You're now on foot in 12 degrees with no cell service to call anybody. Cold snaps kill the elderly and the isolated at a higher rate than the storm itself. The CDC winter mortality data is consistent on it every year. Not from freezing outside, from medical events at home where nobody could get to them and they couldn't get out. This is a redundancy item. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Your primary is a working truck. Your secondary is the tools that let you start it and drive out anyway. Both cost less than a tank of gas. Neither one requires anything fancier than reading the instructions on the back of the bag. Tractor Supply. A 50-pound bag of rock salt runs about $10, and the NoCo Boost jump pack in the automotive aisle runs around $80 on sale, $100 regular. The salt melts your driveway grade in 20 minutes. The jump pack starts a dead V8 without needing a second vehicle. Charge the jump pack every 6 months. Keep it in the cab. $90 and your ability to leave the house doesn't depend on whether the battery held overnight. $90 and the driveway isn't the reason you can't leave. But you can jump the truck all you want. If your gear got soaked in a week of rain, none of it works. And the next one is the aisle you'd never think of. Number 4 is a heavy-duty poly tarp, 10 by 12 and 6 mil. 6 days of hard rain, then the wind takes a shingle off the roof over the back bedroom on day 7. Water starts coming down inside the wall by that afternoon. The forecast says 3 more days. Roofers are booked into next month. Every hardware store within 40 miles is out of tarps because everybody with a roof leak drove there yesterday. Your insulation is soaking up water like a sponge. The drywall is starting to sag, and by morning you're looking at 4 figures in mold remediation on top of the roof itself. Every major hurricane response, every one, the item that runs out first in the local hardware stores isn't food or water, it's tarps. FEMA calls the Blue Roof Program a program because that many roofs need tarping after any real storm. And the bottleneck isn't federal response, it's that nobody had one in the garage the week before. This is the same as the water jugs from item 2. The fix cost $20 before and $400 a night after. Pantry storage from item 3, by the way, also lives inside these tarps if the shed leaks. Tractor Supply's Grip-Right heavy-duty 10x12 poly tarp, 6 mil, runs about $22. Buy 2. One for a roof section, one for covering a wood pile or a broken window. Add a bag of 1 1/4 inch roofing nails for $8 and a roll of paracord for $10. $50 total. That's the difference between a bad afternoon and a 5-figure repair. Store them flat in the garage rafters. $50 and the roof stops being a 5-figure problem. But keeping the weather out is easy compared to keeping a stranger out. And the next one is the $20 move that tells you somebody's on your property before they know you're home. Number 3 is a solar-powered motion sensor floodlight. It's a weeknight. Your kids are in the living room. There's an unfamiliar truck idling in your driveway with the lights off. You didn't hear it come up because the wind's been blowing all evening. The dog didn't bark because whoever's out there hasn't stepped out of the vehicle yet. And the reason you don't know any of this is happening is that your back and side yards are pitch dark from sundown to sun up because the porch light burned out in October and you never got the ladder out to change it. Convicted burglars interviewed for the KGW and North Carolina study said the same thing that shows up in every subsequent survey of the same population. Motion-activated lighting is one of the top 2 deterrents, right behind a dog that barks. The reason is boring. Light removes the anonymity, and anonymity is the whole business model. This is the detect layer of the doctrine. You don't need to see them coming from a mile off. You need to know they're on your property the second they cross the line. That's a 10-second head start you didn't have. Tractor Supply carries a solar-powered motion sensor LED floodlight, 3-panel, for about $25. No wiring, no batteries to swap, no electrician. Buy 3. Mount one over each corner of the house, back door, garage side, driveway approach. Screwdriver install, 20 minutes each, $75. Every approach to the house lights up the second anything larger than a cat crosses it, and it costs you nothing to run because the sun charges it. $75 and the yard tells on anybody who walks it. Name the smart camera subscription that does that for $0 a month. And speaking of things that don't need batteries or Wi-Fi, the next one is the $15 item that decides whether a house fire is a scare or a total loss. Number 2 is a 5-pound ABC fire extinguisher. Grease pan on the stove, phone rings, you turn away for maybe 15 seconds. When you look back, the pan is on fire and the flame is already licking at the cabinet above it. You do the wrong thing, everybody does, you reach for the sink. Water hits grease and the fire jumps to the ceiling. Now you have 30 seconds before the smoke alarm becomes irrelevant because the kitchen is fully involved. Your kids are asleep upstairs, and the closest thing you have to a fire extinguisher is a box of baking soda in the pantry. NFPA data on residential fires is grimly consistent. Cooking is the leading cause, and the survivable window from ignition to unsurvivable smoke conditions is under 3 minutes in an average kitchen. This is the last layer of the doctrine defend, because a house fire is a threat that's already inside. 2 is 1 applies harder here than anywhere. 1 extinguisher in the kitchen, 1 in the garage, 1 on the second floor if you have one. This is the single cheapest life safety item in the entire store, and about a third of homes don't have a working one. Tractor Supply's First Alert 5-pound ABC-rated dry chemical extinguisher runs about $45. Buy 3. One under the kitchen sink, one in the garage near the door, one upstairs. Check the pressure gauge every 6 months. Needle in the green, you're good. Replace every 12 years. That's 135 total, one time, for coverage of every likely ignition point in the house. Cost per year of coverage is $11 and change. $135, and every room has an answer to the worst 30 seconds of your life. All right, we're at the last one, the $4 combo I've been holding since the start. It's 2 boring items from 2 different aisles, and together they beat storage systems that cost 50 times as much. Here it is, the under $5 item I've been holding all video. It's not one thing, it's a pair, and once you see it, you'll get why I made you wait. Because if you skipped items 3 and 7, if the rice got wet or the mice got in, everything else on this list is worth less. This is what makes the whole stockpile actually last. A standard galvanized steel utility bucket at Tractor Supply is $4.99. A screw-on Gamma Seal lid, the orange one over in the livestock supply aisle, is $8. That's it. That's the whole trick. $9, 1 bucket, 1 lid. The lid seals airtight and screws on with one hand. And that combo does what a $450 vacuum-sealed food-grade storage system does, except the mice can't chew through the metal wall, and the seal keeps every drop of humidity out of your rice for a decade. Here's the stake that makes it the whole game. Every food storage failure I've seen in the after-action write-ups, from real bad weeks, hurricane response pantries, extended outages, rural family stockpiles, comes down to one of 2 things. Mice got in or moisture got in. Plastic buckets fail on the first, loose lids fail on the second. $9 fixes both permanently. 20-year functional life. Cost per year of complete food storage integrity is 45 cents. Name the prepper company that sells you that. 1 bucket, 1 lid, $9. 20 years of rice that's still rice, flour that's still flour, and a pantry that's still yours when the shelves at the store are empty. That's the trick the quiet customers have been running for a generation. And now you know it. I'll be straight with you. Most weeks in your life will pass and nothing on this list will matter. The grid holds, the tap runs clear, nobody tests your gate. Odds are on your side, and I mean that. But the whole list I just gave you totals under $700, spread across 10 items you already drive past, and most weeks isn't every week. So even if I'm wrong about your county this year, what did it cost you? An afternoon in a truck bed. So here's what you do this weekend. Not next month, this weekend. 3 moves under an hour of shopping. Grab 2 water jugs, that's item 2, $44. Grab 1 metal trash can, that's item 3, $45. Grab the bucket and the Gamma lid. That's number 10, $9. That's it, $98, 1 trip, and your house just moved from the easy on the block to the one that rides out the week nobody saw coming. Not because you got scared, because you got ready. That's the whole game. Ready beats scared. Ready beats hoping. Ready beats the guy in front of you at checkout buying the last 2 of everything you needed. Every single time. Drop a comment. Which one of these 10 are you picking up this weekend? And which aisle at Tractor Supply do you always end up in? And tell me the cheap item I left off. There's always one your granddad kept in the barn that I don't know about. I read every one. Do me one thing. Send this to the one person in your family whose house you actually worry about in a bad week. Not for me, for them. Before the shelves are empty, not after. Next, we go deeper. The 10 items at the same store nobody should buy no matter how cheap they look. The traps that eat your money and the one aisle everybody misses. Subscribe so it lands in front of you before you need it, not after. Shoot straight, and I'll see you at the counter.